But once we go live on the MLS, there's a process of rolling out not only the MLS, but videos. And not only videos, but we're hitting social media. We're hitting many different platforms. We're picking up the phones and calling our contact list and our fellow agents who we always encourage to come to our listings and show them to their clients. We want a playing field for all because we're working to get the top dollar for our sellers. Well, welcome back to the Cornerstone Realtor Team podcast. We're so happy that you're with us this week. We're not talking about football this week. We've been crushed, Jameel.
That's right. The Seahawks, they beat us.
We got beat bad. Terrible. Anyway, let's go on to bigger and better things. Today, we're coming to you from our newest listing, 249 Zinnia Court in San Ramon. This home is beautiful. It's been staged beautifully by Dora, our stager, and we're just excited to bring this podcast to you from Zinnia Court. And we're just going to give you a little outline of what happens when we get the home on the market. What happens after? Most of the time, people think that as realtors, we just sit back, just chill. Things will happen by itself. But once we go live on the MLS, there's a process of rolling out not only the MLS, but videos. And not only videos, but we're hitting social media. We're hitting many different platforms. We're picking up the phones and calling our contact list and our fellow agents who we always encourage to come to our listings and show them to their clients. We want a playing field for all because we're working to get the top dollar for our sellers. So today we're going to give a little idea what happens after we get on the market.
So once we're on the market, agents start to call us and they want to show their clients. And once they show their clients, we try to get feedback from them. What do they think about the house? And we have open houses scheduled for that weekend that we come on. So if we come on Monday through Thursday, then we're having an open house that weekend to showcase the house. And really the open house is to push all the showings to that weekend, and we don't bother the sellers as much during the week. And it's really important to have those open houses because it really showcases the house. And we get a lot of feedback from a lot of the buyers that come. We ask them what they thought about the house at the end of their tour. And so it's really important for us as the agents to see and hear the activity and the feedback from actual buyers so that we can report back to the sellers. Yeah.
And one of the things that we always love to do, we love to work with our fellow agents. So we present the house at broker tours where we invite the agents to come and to let them know. Sometimes the agent knows what's happening in the MLS, but sometimes when you bring attention to your listing, it wakes up some idea. Oh, I know this person that was looking for the same house. So we do brokers tours and we reach out to other agents because the agents in our MLS network, they're very important to the success of any sale. And if there's anybody that minimizes that, they're really missing out on a lot of effort to get the home listed, sold, not only sold, but sold for top dollar. Because the more we get the home in front of buyers and agents, the more we get better offers and the more we have eyeballs and the more we get contracts, and it just becomes an avalanche. Just for example, this last weekend, we had a very successful open house. Saturday, we had over 40 families. Sunday, we had this similar amount of numbers. And each family is about 2 to 3 people. Can you imagine the numbers that walk through this house? So we are actively marketing and reaching out in our network. We are texting agents. We are following up. Like Jameel said, we're asking for feedback because it's very important to have feedback and understanding on what people think of the house. but definitely there's a lot of prep work that gets us to that. And as you can tell, and you can go to our video of this house shows like a model. It's not a brand new home, but everybody said when they came in, wow, this looks like a brand new house. And it looks like a model home. And that's what we want, to make the house look appealing and inviting to all who come in.
So just a little bit about this house that we're sitting in right now. It's a beautiful Toll Brothers house, built in 2021, so still on the newer side. And it's a four-bedroom plus a loft, and it's 2,900 square feet. And it has three and a half bathrooms, one bedroom downstairs, one and a half bathrooms downstairs. So in that bedroom downstairs, there is a full bathroom, and there's a half bath for your guests when they come over. Plus, the home has owned solar, and it has a Tesla charger. And it has a really nice sized backyard with a California room. And here's my favorite part: the master has a retreat that's enclosed, and it's all glass. So it's really nice, acts as a workout room or an office that you could utilize, or just you could put a couch there to read. And so it's a really nice space. But once a home is listed on the market, we start marketing it, right? We don't just list it on the MLS, we pay for ads on social media. And that way it gets more people, more eyeballs on it, more people interested. And we get hundreds of thousands of people looking at the home online. And that brings people here. They call their agent or they call us directly. And so we're marketing that for a couple of weeks, if that, sometimes a week. And after that marketing happens, if we get any offers, we start to look at the offers with the seller. And we can either set an offer date or we can take the offers as they come in. And so getting that offer is kind of our work coming to an end, right? We are just getting that offer in, and now we're starting the process to close the deal, right? There's more things that happen in that process, but we're starting to close the deal, getting the offer, and getting the seller to counter offer or accept it if they like it.
And one of the things that we love to do is prep well. So we make sure that the seller fills out their disclosures. And we always recommend to the seller to do inspections before we go on the market. That way they are available to the buyer and to the agent, the buyer's agent, to review, because that makes the whole process much easier, that a buyer can look at the disclosures and the inspections and they're able to make a decision. What that does for the seller, it takes away the contingencies out, the investigation. They can still do their own inspections, but we help them take any type of contingency or roadblock out of the way and help them make a solid offer that will work and will be a good offer for the seller. So we prep to make that offer time smooth and easy and help people make a decision and make a good decision, a solid decision.
So once the offer is accepted and everyone has agreed to the terms of the sale, and we've gone back and forth and tried to negotiate, and we have agreed, now what happens is escrow is opened and the buyer puts a deposit, usually around 3%, into escrow. And hopefully there's no contingencies. And that means that there's no condition. Contingencies means condition of the sale for the buyer to back out. And that's a good negotiation by the listing agent, which we always strive for. Sometimes it depends on the market. We do have a loan contingency or an appraisal contingency or an inspection contingency. It just depends on what the seller wanted to do prior to listing. And a lot of times sellers say, well, I don't want to do an inspection. Let the buyer do it because they're going to do one anyway. That's fine. Then there's going to be an inspection contingency. But a lot of times we do the inspections up front. And we always recommend it because it removes the inspection contingency off the table. They don't have to have one. So we accept the offer. The buyer puts the deposit into escrow. Now we're rolling for a close date within about, could be 21 to 30 days, sometimes 45 days, and the buyer is doing, starting their loan process, and they're getting their loan, done. Now the seller is pretty much cruising here. They're cruising, just waiting for the escrow to close, the property to close escrow. And basically, if there's no contingencies, the property's sold, but we're just waiting for the paperwork to be completed by the lender and the escrow company.
And one of the most important things that a buyer agent does is do a final walkthrough on the property. Because when you make an offer, you've seen the house, you maybe visited again and brought the family to look at it. But it's very important right before closing that the buyer does a buyer's walkthrough just to check the condition of the house to make sure that what he made an offer on still looks the same. Nothing is missing, nothing has changed. And it's very important to do that right before the closing. So we always recommend a final walkthrough on the property because it's very important for the buyer to see that.
Yeah, recently we went through a buyer walkthrough where we were representing the buyer, and we found some damage from the stagers. So the seller went ahead and repaired it. And so that's why it's important that the buyer does the final walkthrough in case there was any problem, between the time they signed their loan or they removed the staging and we're closing the deal, right? So that's why it's important to do a final walkthrough and see one last time, you know, the house before you sign or right after you sign, but before the deal is closed. Here in California, we typically sign and then we close a day or two, 3 days later. That's kind of the process here. Other states, you sign and you close, but in California, it takes a couple of days for them to get the money and then close a deal. It could happen a little faster, but that has to be set up prior. But once we do the final walkthrough and the buyer signs and the escrow closes, escrow will send a recording of the new owners to the county, and the county will confirm through the recorder's office that the new owners are the buyers. And so then we get the phone call or an email from our escrow company saying, congratulations, the property has now closed and the buyers are the new owners. And then the transfer of keys happen, right? So that's when the buyer's agent will come get the keys, and everything has been set up prior, right? Everything is ready. The house is empty. The keys are there. There's garage remotes in the home. There's the keys in the home and the manuals. All that is kind of prepped. We are prepping the seller for getting those things ready. Anything that they have that this new buyers can use, like a manual or a garage remote or whatever was disclosed, is going to transfer to the new owner. And sometimes the sellers are willing to do a walkthrough with the buyer just to kind of show them the house if the buyer requests it, or if the seller just has pride in their home. They like to show their home off and tell them all the little bells and whistles that they have, like how does this switch work, turn on a fountain, a pool, or something like that. So that's definitely fun to do that with the new buyers or the sellers. And so that's kind of it. Then the keys get transferred and the new owners are there, and we continue to follow up with our buyers if we're on the buying side just to make sure that they're happy and there's nothing wrong, and also with the sellers. So that's the process of what happens after your home is listed on the market.
You heard that's the finish line. You get the keys and you enjoy your new home. And one of the things that I want to tell you is that we have a seller's guide, we have a buyer's guide, and we've written a book on how to sell the house. So you don't have to remember all this information. If you will comment below, and we'll send you a seller's guide, we'll send you a buyer's guide so you can be informed. It's nice to go into any buying or selling with understanding. That way you're not in the dark. You know what's happening. You know what's going on step by step. So some of the steps that we've talked about, we have it in written material. Just reach out to us, comment below, and we'd love to get that in your hands so that way you can go over it and understand it before you make the decision to buy or sell. Thanks again.
Thank you. Have a great day.